I could introduce you after.
We're so zoomed in. Oh, I shouldn't talk.
All set, Karen?
We are good to go. Thank you, Kevin.
Well, good evening, everyone. The time is 6:35, and this is the City Human Relations Commission calling the meeting to order. And I will ask you for your indulgence as I sit in this role for the first time.
Yeah.
But I believe our first item of business is the roll call.
Correct. Kevin.
Present.
Connor.
Here.
Lainey.
Yep.
Edgar.
Here.
Leanne.
Here.
Ashish.
Here.
I'm going to note that we have all commissioners present, and we do not have any council liaisons present at this time.
Okay. Given that all members are present, we have a quorum, I believe.
I just said we have no council members present. Let me update those minutes.
I can leave.
No, we've
So
got that here.
We were gonna keep the door slightly,
Oh,
because despite the noise, apparently it locks.
okay.
We could open that.
That is true. We could be like, we
You
just
could
have our
open that
own.
when you get some fresh air.
That's also true.
We have been joined by Councilmember Partida, thank you. And we are just underway with the second agenda item, which is approval of the agenda. And in light of some of the time constraints that folks have noted, I'm wondering if it might make sense to just rearrange the agenda a little bit so that we are sure to get to the most time-sensitive issue, and that is the annual Tom High Wind Awards. So if folks are amenable, I thought we might make item 6C, just move it up to A. If there are any other items, we could potentially move those to. Connor?
Yeah, so I was not here when people brought up time concerns, so I'm not aware of like how long we have, but I do think the subcommittee updates seem to potentially be timely. Like they're not things we have to vote on, but they are things that are fairly timely, especially the Cesar Chavez one, because we do not have another meeting prior to the Cesar Chavez event.
Okay. Yeah, it's a great observation. So maybe what we'll do then is make C and E, A and B, and then we'll go in order with the rest of the agenda after that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yes, so Kevin, is that a motion that you've just made, or would you like somebody to make that motion?
Let's consider it a motion, and if there's a second.
I'll second it.
Sorry, a little bit of computer issue. All right, you can go ahead and take the vote if you'd like.
Perfect. All those in favor signify by raising your hands. All those against, seeing none, motion carries. Thank you all. And with that, we will go to item number 3, brief announcements from staff, commissioners, and liaisons. First item under the bullet point there is update on commission vacancies and city council recommendations related to commissions. Bless you.
Thank you.
And we're grateful to have Councilmember Partida here, and hoping now that we are down to a bare quorum, whether we might be able to get an update on what our future looks like ahead of us.
I wish I could give you like more hope here, but we are, still in the process of like coming out of the commission restructuring that they're doing, and so I don't know that we've opened up the applications. I know that we have people that are
I have a little bit of an update.
okay.
If you want me to. I did speak with the city clerk and our assistant city manager, and as Councilmember Partida noted, there's still with the recent recommendations, still looking to see which commissions will be reformatted, et cetera. The hope is that that would be done by late spring and that new commission appointments would begin, late spring, early summer. I did ask how many commission applications for the Human Relations Commission were in waiting, and there is one at this time.
I see.
But there hasn't been any recruitment. That's part of
Yes,
the
correct.
problem, is that we haven't done any outreach for this.
Right.
I would say that the commissioners here can reach out to their circles and let them know to please apply. At least the applications would be there so that they'll be ready to go, so that, that way we're not waiting for us to open the application and do the recruitment. And so people know folks, or just, as I said, through your social channels, that people know that we need commissioners.
So we could sort of do an informal recruitment or informal outreach.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, could you remind us just where that application or nomination?
It lives on our
form is?
website somewhere.
It is on the city clerk's webpage, on the webpage. So
Clerk's.
cityofdavis.org, and then there's a city clerk's page, and there'll be commission applications. There's also a commission section that you could click on, and I think it says, has descriptions of all the commissions, and I think it has like a apply to be on the commission here button.
Okay. Well, I think someone will contradict me if I'm wrong, but I think I speak on behalf of everybody, that we are very eager for new colleagues to join us, to engage in this important work. Kind of also just really wary of kind of burnout of the folks that we have. We press them too hard.
Yeah. I hear you.
Edgar's exhausted from his day job. So,
Yeah.
and his
That's
extra-
my volunteer
extra-
work job too.
extracurricular work.
Although I saw that it came out fabulously, your event.
It was very successful.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you. And is there anything we can do to help facilitate, et cetera? We are eager.
You can put out the word
Yeah,
for
something.
applications. I think that would be very helpful.
I have a question. Are we taking applicants for new high school representatives for the next year?
Yes, that would be a really good
I do
thing
know
as well,
some
because
people that
school's
are
going out.
Yeah, very interested in doing it next year.
That's right.
Yes.
So the way that works is, that's an appointment. They don't need to apply. That's an appointment from the school district. So Kate usually will work with the students, and they don't have to go through any sort of application process. That's totally done in the district office. So if you want to get them in touch with Kate, she can certainly help them with that. And then we
If there's more than one, then how is that?
That's all, it's up to the district. It's a
Okay.
district appointment.
Okay.
Okay.
But that's exciting.
Yes.
Thank you for helping spread the word on that. Ashish. We've certainly appreciated having you. You've been our most involved student ever.
Hey,
Yes.
definitely, thank you.
Thank you, Ashish. Okay, any further comments, questions, et cetera, on the commission vacancies? Okay, let me then let's move on to second bullet item, update on the status of the Kansas code revision.
I do not have an update, Karen.
Okay. This is an item where we submitted to city staff at their request a proposal back in September, so now we're at, I don't know, 6 or 7
We
months.
are, you're
And I'm
right.
just wondering if it might be fruitful for the group to consider at one point whether there might be a way to try to move forward in this, but I don't.
I think it is in a lengthy list of things to tackle.
Okay, that sounds rather indefinite.
I wish I had a better answer for you.
Come.
So I will also mention that as an individual, any commissioner is allowed to give comment to the council. So if you especially, or anyone else, would like to try to get this closer to their radar, that is definitely an option, whether in like general comment or long-range calendar.
Okay, thank you, well taken. All right, any other further comments, questions, et cetera, on that issue? Seeing none, We can now then move on to public comment. This is item 4 on the agenda, and is an item where the public is invited to address the commission on matters that are not listed on the agenda or are listed on the consent calendar. The consent calendar consists tonight only of the meeting minutes approval for the last meeting, but
Excuse me, did you have any public comment? Okay, sorry, I'm sorry, Kevin, I missed that, I was trying to get my notes in here.
okay.
I apologize.
So I wanna maybe also check with Carrie to find out whether we have any written public comments that should be noted? None noted, okay. And are there any people present who would like to speak for public comment on items not on the agenda or on the consent calendar? Seeing none, I think we have concluded public comment, and we will move then to the consent calendar. The one item on the consent calendar is a proposal to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which are attached to our agenda. Any comments, corrections, etc. for the meeting minutes? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
A second.
They looked correct to me.
Okay. Edgar moves, Laney seconds to approve the meeting minutes from February 22nd. Okay, moving right along then. Item 6.
Oh.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Connor?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I just moved right through that. I thought it was by.
To be fair,
I thought it was by unanimous consent.
a move and a second is now half of the current commissioners anyway, so.
That's true. Thank you, Carrie, for the correction. All those in favor of approving the minutes, signify by raising their hands. I see the ayes and noes, no abstentions, and the motion carries. Thank you. And Carrie will keep correcting me as I.
You're doing
make-
amazing.
As I make further mistakes
Yeah.
along the
You
way.
are
Natural.
doing amazing, okay.
I was the chair of a number of boards in my college student government.
Oh,
I won't tell you a whole lot where that was.
It's coming back to you, doing
you
just
know your
fine.
Robert's rules.
I do know my Robert's rules from my time in the legislature. You would think I would remember to vote, that voting was one of them. Okay, sorry, Carrie?
Kevin, did you say you wanted to do C and D and then
I think
A?
C and E.
C and
C
E
and
first.
E, perfect, okay.
Okay, so then, this first item then will be the Tonhai Win Awards, and I believe we have a report and recommendation from the committee. Who would like to?
Can I just ask really quickly?
Yeah.
Do you have a public comment that you'd like to make on one of the items?
No, I just.
You're just here.
Very quietly.
Okay, all right, yeah, okay.
We're happy to have you
Those
here.
three little monkeys.
Perfect.
I was just gonna suggest that maybe we take that item as well,
Okay,
but
it's a good suggestion, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, then let's move to the committee on the Tonhai Win.
So our subcommittee, which is now 3/4 of the entire committee, met this week and looked over all the applications, reminded ourselves by reading the exact language of the award, what specifically we were looking for, and determined 4 suggestions that we want to make. 1 in the organization category, which is the Aggie House. 2 in the over 18 category. And the names are, Connor, help me,
Annie Louise Temple and Patty
Patty
Fong.
Fong. And 1 in the under 18 category, and I'm not gonna pull that name out.
CJ Milligan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think you guys know better than I do, but the process is we are asking for the HRC to approve that, and then we send it along to the city council, and they determine if they would like to go ahead and award those people.
Should we give some
Background?
background
Do we
on
need to give
each?
background?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's what we did.
A little
Hear a
bit.
little bit about our nominees.
So did those, applications, did they go to the full?
No, we started last year having a subcommittee do
Right.
the review, and so they, the applications go to the subcommittee for review, and then they come back and make a report.
recommendation.
The recommendations.
Right, but do not all the applications that come in get sent to the entire committee so that they know who was?
They go to the subcommittee, is that what you're asking? They go to all of the subcommittee,
Right,
they don't
but
go to the whole commission.
the entire commission doesn't see the applications at all? Okay.
That switched last year, we can certainly switch it back. That's-
No, just,
We can give
just
it,
for information.
We
I
can
mean, I
give
know
it-
that the subcommittee is making the recommendations,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's nice for everybody to see.
what the applications are. I can give a little bit of,
Yeah.
context if you'd like, unless one of the subcommittee members would like to. All right, so this year we did have nominations in each of the categories. I believe that we had 3 nominations in the community group category, 2 of which were the same. And some of you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. We had 1 nomination in the under 18 category, and we had in the over 18 category 3 nominations. Well, actually, we had 4 nominations.
Well, 4 that we moved one.
2, but 2 of those nominations were for the same person. And so from there, the subcommittee did the review of the the nominations. And I don't know if there's discussion that you want to share of kind of what your review process was and how you determined your selections, et cetera. You can share a little bit about the proposed recipients.
Yeah, I think the only one area of like clarification was that one of the nominees was more of a concept versus an organization. And so it was more of like, I think it would even came up in the application, how do they apply as an organization or as individuals in the over 18 category? They didn't know, and when we got it, we had to kind of redefine or define for ourselves, just to be clear, like, what is an organization, and so after we made that determination, we decided to move that nomination into the over 18 group. And so then for the community group, then it left 1 group left.
And that community group had 3 separate nominations for them, the Aggie House.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to share a little bit about what the work of Aggie House?
I mean,
I think we all know.
Yeah, like,
I confess that I don't, I'm sorry. I should-
okay.
I did read, so I'll read
Obviously,
one
I
of
should.
them, because they all kind of use the same language. But I'll read one of the nominations statement. Aggie House is a student-led, student-run transitional housing shelter and RSO for UCD students facing housing insecurity or homelessness. Since 2021, Aggie House has helped over 60 plus students get into more permanent housing, has had over 100 plus dedicated student volunteers. Although many see Aggie House as a shelter, it's so much more. Aggie House is a community, it's a home. This wonderful community, this home is only possible with both campus and community help. And it goes on and on and on about their different partnerships that they have, but yes.
Is it then a sort of an official student organization at UC Davis, or is it?
I don't think it's a student organization.
they said it's an RSO, so that would actually
Registered
imply that
student
it is,
organization.
yeah.
Okay.
But it's not affiliated with the administration, and one of them actually explicitly says that. It explicitly says that this is purely student-run, and that has actually caused some, issues with, funding streams, but that they want to keep it completely student-volunteer-run as it currently is.
Well, that's great to hear. I'm glad to know that those folks are out there.
Yeah, and then the other nominations, so that was for the community group, for the 2 groups, or the 2 over 18 individuals, Patty Fong, recently for her work with the film, but also for the movement to push for the changing of the law at the county level around the language on is it?
former executive.
Yeah, exactly, the executive order, yeah, exactly. And so that was one of the nomination, or the ones that we chose, as well as Annie. And Annie's work is based on her efforts as a Jewish individual, but also, I believe, married to a Palestinian man, and bringing up a family with both backgrounds in their family, trying to juggle with all the stuff that's happening in the community and trying to build bridges, but also fighting for a ceasefire. And so with that work, we saw that would be an issue for someone who's trying to build community and build bridges between everybody during a pretty tense time.
And, sorry, I missed the last name.
Temple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it also mentioned that she was part of the Central Park. I don't remember if it was officially called the Visual, but the interfaith event, and was one of the people who read a poem along with different faith leaders and community leaders. So she's been involved in a few different events and projects recently, specifically, along with just more broadly being part of this work.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm always so heartened to hear about sort of the wonderful people and exemplary work that's being done in the community that we're not always aware of. I appreciate that. Thank you.
We had some conversation about how divided the Jewish community is right now, and that, anyway, we went back to the kind of what is the purpose of the award, and people standing up for justice and trying to do things to bring people together. And obviously it doesn't require that you have the similar opinions of other people in Davis about the current Israel-Gaza situation and everything else. So we did just talk that one through a little bit, and that she was also part of the organizing of the Hanukkah event that happened outside the city council meeting where the ceasefire was being discussed, and that was controversial for some people, but anyway, it was definitely an attempt to live out values and stand up for what she thought was right, and community organizing and creating a solidarity amongst at least some part of the population. So we felt pretty strong that was timely to do this year, and that there might be some other things that year to year could be chosen at any time, but this was one that was timely and important to do now. So.
Great. Well, thanks for those additional comments. Are there other questions?
There was also the under 18 student
Yes.
that was nominated.
BSU club advisor at DHS was the one who recommended him.
Yeah.
And he deserves my nomination because he's an upstanding student with undeniable character. His peers have recognized his exceptionality as well when they voted him as homecoming king. I admire his views on diversity because he says it allows people to collaborate with others from different backgrounds, which allow for multiple perspectives. And so he's the communications manager for the Black Student Union, and it looks like does a lot of other things in the community, outside of school and with his family. So it's a nice list of the things he's been involved in.
I also do want to mention specifically, it talked about his engagement with issues around homelessness, which we know it was a fairly big part toward the end of the description that we got, and we also know that's a big issue in Davis, and it's also what the Aggie House is all about. So I think it is CJ seems to be engaged in a lot of different things, but yeah, a lot of different intersecting issues in Davis.
That's wonderful. Great.
So do we need to have discussion around that and then vote to approve?
Call for public comment?
Sorry.
What a great idea. All right, I just want to open the discussion and see if there's any public comment that anyone would like to offer on this issue of the recommendation from the Committee on the Highway War.
we can have
See-
further discussion or take a vote.
Seeing none, given that I think there's only one member, me, who's not actually served on the subcommittee, I'd like to thank the subcommittee for all of your work reviewing those applications. I really appreciate your thoughtfulness and the work that you did, not only sort of reviewing the applications, but sort of engaging with the community and and the principles that you brought to that. So thank you for that. And I'm just thrilled that we're going to have another really great set of honorees, and we should all be proud of that. If there's no further discussion, then I think we should go ahead and approve the recommendation of the committee and move that forward to the city council for their consideration.
I second that.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, raise your hand, whatever. I guess we can do both. Excuse me. I can only raise my hand, I can't talk. Let me just check, there were no no's, no abstentions, that motion carries unanimously. And thank you again to the committee for your contributions.
I'll just give you a quick update if that's okay on next steps with this.
Please.
The council will receive this on April 2nd for ratification. And then with their ratification, I'll go ahead and notify all of the recipients. And for your guys' calendar, the ceremony for city council will be on Tuesday, May 7th.
Okay. It's in the evening, right?
Yes, it will be at the city council meeting. It will be in conjunction with the Golden Heart Awards, as it has been the past couple of years. And this year, due to, we might be combining the Environmental Recognition Awards on the same night. More to come on that. There will be a night of celebrating all the great people.
Perfect, thank you, Karen. Okay, I think we have completed then that item, and we will move next to committee updates, which is, we've taken out of order, but it's item E on the agenda. And first, committee report is with respect to the upcoming Cesar Chavez celebration. And I'd like to turn it over to Edgar and Connor, and I think assisted by Carrie, for your update.
Yeah, do we start?
Sure.
Okay. So we have about 4 to up to 6 speakers that will hopefully be confirmed soon, 4 for sure. And we're hoping to have 2 more, maybe the high school student, as well as, actually we are hoping from someone from DTA as well, and when we hear back from them. So if that happens, then we could have up to 6 or 7 speakers total. Currently, the speakers that we'll have is, Josh Chapman, our mayor, the farm worker prayer from Rick. We'll have the state scientist, I forgot the acronym.
CAPS.
CAPS, that's right. Someone from that union will be coming to speak. We're hoping to have an ethics studies high school student come. We're hoping to have a kind of Filipino historian, farm worker historian come and speak. Hopefully DTA will have a representative, and maybe someone from ASME as our speakers list so far. As for our potential performers, we will have the land acknowledgement and Aztec dance. I do have an edit from Cesar Chavez Elementary School. There's only a 1st grade performance, not a 3rd grade. So we will have only one of those.
And are they doing a reading?
They're doing a poetry reading.
Okay.
Yeah. So that'll be nice. I put out we put out an ask for Woodland Folklorico group to come and perform, and so that ask went in yesterday. And then we also have Mariachi Davao
Dividing, yeah.
Yeah, dividing.
Mhm.
And they are confirmed.
Yeah.
So, bearing that, we have 3 confirmed performances and potentially 4. I think that one of the things we discussed was just having a more tight program. I think in the past it was quite long, and so having something that's a little bit more concise, and it starts at 10. It's still at the peak of farmers market, and so we'll have a natural large audience. We have multiple groups who are going to be tabling, and then we will also do like a arts and crafts section. We may do similar to what we did in the past, which is make little mini protest signs, as well as potentially like the tissue paper flowers to hand out for kids. So we may need some extra volunteers or find people to help with that. But if we know of other groups that want to table and participate, we'd love to hear from them. We have a decent list so far, and hopefully it just grows by the time our event comes up in 3 weeks.
I have a question I forgot to ask you yesterday. Do we have a theme? I'm asking this because next week we'll start getting out the social media and the press, and sometimes it's fun to, title the press release with a theme if there is one.
Well, yeah.
Yes.
We could. That's an easy theme. We did not discuss the theme.
Okay.
I like said suggested theme.
I do too. But yeah, my general feeling about Cesar Chavez is I like to just bring in timely, like relevant and related issues. So just like current ongoing labor struggles, current ongoing like immigration struggles. So to me, the theme every year is pretty much how do we make the community more aware and engaged around the ongoing current issues that are related to Cesar Chavez's legacy.
We have a timely guest for just a second to listen to our conversation. This is Snow Hernandez, who is on negotiations for the PTA and is involved in ethnic studies, and I connected you 3 by email.
Yeah,
Do you have
okay,
any
great.
next
So
door?
it's a quick-
We are
Okay.
exactly talking about this right
Yeah.
now.
Yes.
She just texted me and was like, can you come in here?
Oh, good job, lady.
Okay, well, not to put you on the spot, but in the formal meeting that's being recorded, would you or anyone you know be interested in speaking for DTA at our Cesar Chavez event?
What, can you tell me a little bit more about like what you're hoping to be speaking about, or like what a little bit that would look like?
And this is why a theme is important.
True.
So,
Because you give it to your speakers to sort of like,
Right.
have a concise,
so to me,
Makes
I
sense.
would say the current, like, DTA contract negotiations, which I only recently learned DTA was currently in contract negotiations, because I swore it was just a year or 2 ago that it seems to be much more frequent than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess also like how teachers unions can support the most marginalized students and be a conduit for like broader social justice issues as well. That would be my suggestion.
All right, and it's on April 13th, is that,
Yep.
that is the date, let me just double check the date.
Yeah. Between 10 and 12 during farmers market, so there's usually a pretty large audience.
Okay, yeah.
And Victor spoke last year, so he could probably talk to you about what it was that he decided to say.
Sure, yep. We had previously talked about it a little bit, so I just wanted a little bit more information, and I am available on that date, so I'm happy to do it.
And we can, sorry.
And we'll talk a little bit more later so I can get a little bit, yeah.
I was just gonna say, Kevin came up with a possible theme. What was your theme, Kevin?
I think it's just up for consideration.
Yes. Well, I like it though, and I want to mention, if you want to talk about any DTA calls to action.
Yeah.
Power of collective action.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's just, like in the past, we've done themes where the first year that I helped participate in it, we actually did a lot on coalition building. and how during the farm worker movement, there was a heavy Filipino farm worker movement that was going on at the same time, but is very often not talked about or highlighted in the struggle. And, you know, at that year's event, we actually brought almost half the speakers talking about the Filipino farm worker experience, as well as other ethnic groups that were heavily involved. There was a large South Asian group that I had no idea that was involved in the farm worker movement. And that group, that's not even talked about at all. So I think in different years, we've highlighted different groups. Last year, I think I forgot what the theme was, but what we highlighted was local struggles. And so we wanted to bring a lot of the different labor organizations that were fighting for current actual items to let them have the stage and tell them, this is what we're going through. That I believe that year is when Pete's won their campaign. So we had Pete's workers come out and speak. So, and you know, it's just an opportunity to have a stage for educating the general public on what's really going on currently, because most people don't know.
Yeah.
Kevin, so I heard you say the power of collective action. That strikes me as a.
That's a good one.
Yes.
Why you get paid the big bucks in this space?
That is, I like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm down with that.
Done.
I like
Done. Why weren't you part of the, oh, you are part of this.
You guys are easy.
I do know, like, in the past, we were very careful around, like, what is happening, you know, so that we don't give people a platform that is political,
Sure,
right?
sure.
So, and it's hard to separate that from what it was that, like, Martin Luther King did and what Cesar Chavez did anyway. I mean, there's not really any way to separate that, except that it's, you know, the city of Vegas.
I agree. I think, yeah, since it is a City of Davis event, you know.
Well, but it's also like a city of Davis event. I mean, you know, for the city.
Yeah.
But it's not a venue for contract negotiation.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, like, one of the groups that I'm trying to bring on is the organization I work with, the California Nurses Association, and they organized Sutter Davis last year, which was a huge win for us. And they are in their post-contract negotiations at the moment. So we're trying to see if we can bring a speaker from them to come and to talk about what's happening, what the organizing drive was like, and all of that. So just to kind of highlight.
All right. One ever super unrelated to this particular topic, but still related to Cesar Chavez. One of the things we didn't talk about at the subcommittee meeting is that I'll need very short bios for each of the confirmed speakers. So if you were the contact for the confirmed speaker, if you could please reach out to them and get, you know, maybe a 3-sentence introduction for them for the MC, that would be great. We'll dump it into the script, please.
Okay.
Thanks.
How long are you thinking for each speaker to?
30 minutes.
Yeah.
3 to 5 minutes max.
You were starting to say 3, and I was like, okay, and then you were like 30.
No, it's
The delivery, the deadpan.
Was that
It was good, yes.
I was like, what did I agree to? I'm gonna call it.
Sorry, I'm 3 to 5 minutes.
All right. I will get back on that email. I'll respond to you
Sure, no
and
problem.
get through that. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank
I
you.
Quarter you.
Yeah, I was like the conference room. I walked by this a million times. Where is it? It's right here.
Thank you to our special guest. Great cameo appearance.
That was a good timing. Confirmed speaker. Can you spell out her first name again? Or what is her full name?
Snow, like S-N-O-W,
Okay.
and last name Hernandez.
Snow
As you would expect.
Now, I'm assuming none of the Latinos Unidos students are in there too, right? Because if so,
No.
let's just bring everyone in.
Unfortunately.
Andrew, have you heard back from the Davis Latinos Unidos Club?
So I got a contact from Lainey for I believe, like teacher, director, guy, mentor, whatever the official title is. I emailed them, but I have not gotten a response yet, but it has been less than a day, so hopefully I will get a response soon, but if you wanna also contact them, that would be great as well.
That
Well,
was
he
for
said Davis
Da Vinci.
High and mine.
Oh,
is
yeah,
different.
yes.
We did, Ms. Arroyo did confirm that they will, the high school Latinos Unidos most likely have a table at the event.
Okay, perfect.
And we were considering reaching out to one of the high school students to be an MC.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think you've had a chance to ask James Escobedo, who's the head of the Latinos Unidos at Da Vinci. I don't know I think he would potentially be interested, and he's a very good public speaker, but if you have a similar position, who's in charge of your Latinos Unidos club?
They were, when I was talking to the club, they were a little iffy on how many people would be able to table, because, well, actually, I don't know, because I think they thought it would be over spring break. But
Oh, okay.
now, since it's gonna be in April, like
Yes.
April,
In a few
Yeah.
weeks out.
so then I don't know, there definitely might be some people that are interested in emceeing, but I'd have to discuss that with the club, and they would probably choose someone specifically to do that.
I mean, it could be a pair,
Yeah, or a parent.
Yeah.
if they didn't want to do it alone.
Yeah. So I think if Leonie reaches out to her student too, that would be great.
And I'm happy to help work with them, coach them through emceeing if they have done it or have not done it. I'm happy to work with them. Okay.
Is there more to discuss or information to share on further preparations? Committee's been doing very active outreach and preparation. Much appreciated.
We are live streaming, right? That was the final decision?
I would be in favor of it,
I
and
reached out to our IS department head yesterday to ask about the equipment. I haven't heard back yet, but that is the hope.
And I would also be in favor of promoting that widely so that people are aware of it, because I do wonder if sometimes people don't know that's an option and then just kind of assume, oh, I can't go, therefore.
Can that go to
I can
marketing? If we know it's gonna happen?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, this event will be live streamed from the
Yeah, and
city.
as long as it's the Facebook, which would also be an excuse to promote the Facebook page too, so.
I was gonna see if we did that last year or not. You guys can.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't
There
think.
was a recording device.
Advertised that we
Nope,
were
it-
live
Yeah,
streaming.
I thought so.
We live streamed it last year on Facebook, and what I can't recall is if we actually advertised that we were going
We're going to,
yeah.
or if it was a last minute sort of addition. I'm just pulling up the press release right now from last year to see. No, we did not. Well, we didn't on the press release. I don't know. I've got one more.
Yeah,
thing to
there's a
look to
chance
see if
there's
it was
like a
on
Facebook
our-
post that mentions
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm wondering. Oh, I don't have
But
that.
having it in the press release would definitely be helpful.
Right, but I think, most people are gonna find it on the Facebook post. If they're on Facebook, then they'll
Yeah.
click, so we can definitely do that. Yeah, I'm not finding that particular post.
I mean, just something random, I was gonna make this announcement earlier, but it's still on topic, sort of. There is a very unique musical that came out called Larry the Musical, which is happening in San Francisco, and Larry Leon, the farm worker leader.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that musical.
Yeah, I mean, he's quite famous for all of his writings, and the fact that they actually did an entire musical, and they have like a whole like month and a half run of show for him in San Francisco. I'm gonna try to go, but I know that they really want to hype it up because not everybody knows about it. It's a small production, but they want to get some momentum going for it in San Francisco. So it's running from the 16th until April 14th, so about a month, at the Brava Theater.
Can they table? Do they have any like literature we could distribute?
I was also kind of wondering that, but also it goes to the day after.
It goes to the day after, so there would be one more show after it.
Oh, it's only the day after. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, okay.
Unless they wanna move to this area and do it again.
Yes.
you know?
That's true, they could kind of be like the San Francisco Mime Troupe, like they could go
And the
around,
Vex
yeah.
Memorial Theater.
It would be a good venue. Even California Hall.
Farmers market.
Yeah, just an
They would do
outdoor
a
production,
small-
yes.
A small piece.
A scene.
Set piece, yeah.
That would be really cool. I'll reach out. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what's gonna happen, but I'll reach out. You know, maybe offer a small honorarium or something.
Well, thanks for flagging that, sounds like a great event.
These are very rare too, to have these types of musicals, these productions. Yeah.
Connor, we did not have it on the social graphic last year, so we might have, it wasn't on the graphic, it might have been in the post, but we'll definitely make sure to get it on there this year. I think that's a great idea.
I will definitely watch it live.
Yes. And with your whole family, it could be like a family event,
That's right.
like everyone who's down there.
Perfect, okay. Well, thanks again to the committee. If there is no further discussion then, or questions for the committee, we can, move on to the California Task Force on Reparations Committee, Amy Pickett and I. And as you recall, we had a discussion on this item at the last meeting. There was a suggestion, a request that we allow folks to sort of look into this a little bit further and sort of explore what a possible proposal might look like and what the Task Force on Reparations has put forward. The committee, and I'll let chime in here, worked on a proposal to advance to the city council, which I brought with me. In fact, maybe what I'll do is just distribute it. I need 10 copies, and hopefully that's enough. Which is just sort of putting it forward in resolution format. The proposal that the committee is putting forward. Excuse me.
Oh, yes, that's a good point. Would you like a copy? Yes.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you.
Take a moment, folks.
Kevin, can you also email this to me so I can make sure that it gets in with the packet?
Obviously, this is a draft. It is open for edits of any kind, additions, subtractions, and other revisions.
I think your student committee experience came out of writing this, because this looks very much like the ASCCD resolutions that I've
is that
seen.
Was this modeled after any other like city resolution that has been passed already?
Well, I had recourse to other resolutions. You know, I'm sorry, I worked in the legislature for many years, so I also am sort of drawing on legislative resolutions.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of standard across the board.
Okay.
So I'm assuming these are hyperlinks, and that if this resolution is posted online, the hyperlinks will be links.
Yes, and I want to thank Lenny for that contribution, because that was the intention, was to sort of make it more accessible and hopefully more digestible and give folks references.
It is a very long report,
Yes.
so we just thought this sort of summarized the right pieces of information, and then of course allows access to the full report for further exploration.
Right. And then, of course, it concludes with the resolution that the HRC recommends that the City of Davis commend and endorse the mission, purpose, and efforts of the task force, and urge state policymakers to study and consider the findings and recommendations. So, just to be very clear about it, this proposal does not necessarily endorse any specific recommendation. It doesn't take a side on whether one thing should happen or another. It endorses the mission, purpose, and efforts of the task force.
I think we're hoping for approval to send this forward to the city tonight, or make changes and then send it forward.
I'm down with it. I think public comment before approval would be good. And like subcommittees, we usually do all of them before taking public comment. So maybe we talk about the next subcommittee, we do public comment, and then we kind of just vote on this last.
I'm very amenable to that suggestion, Kariana. Do folks want to spend more time reading it before we have further conversation on the next item? Okay, I'm going to move then to, at Connor's suggestion, to the next item under committee updates, the adjourned listening committee next steps. And we will then circle back to public comment and vote on the resolution. So, by way of introduction, and I'm hoping to hear from everybody on this, but Lainey and I, along with Robin, composed the sort of initial committee that was doing outreach and listening around the tensions related to anti-Semitism and concerns around the Gaza resolution, etc. There was I call it a report because I think that's what Robin was calling it, that Robin had been working on to synthesize and sort of capture the information that we heard, and then to memorialize that and transmit it to the appropriate folks, wherever those people might be. I think City Council would certainly be among them. I would think potentially the three together might be among them, but there may be others as well. Obviously, with Robin's departure, we don't have a final document yet. I think it probably behooves us to complete that work if my fellow subcommittee member is amenable, and we can dust off whatever version of that document may exist and bring it back before the body for your review and consideration, and then.
Is that fine for an adjourned subcommittee to meet and do a thing? Is
Is that?
I was actually
Yeah,
gonna
I
ask,
think that
should we
the West-
recompose it? Like,
I think we can make in the notes that the subcommittee's gonna have one last meeting to finalize and present. That, I mean, with Robin's departure, we had a little bit of an adjustment, so.
Okay, sounds great, so we'll sort of postpone the rest of that until next time when we can have notes attached to the agenda for you or.
Right. We'll try to make that a fairly summary document. Okay, let's then open it up for public comment on this agenda item committee updates. We've covered the Citizen Travel Celebration Subcommittee, the California Task Force and Reparations Committee, and the Listening Subcommittee. Is there any public comment on any of those issues or any of those reports? Seeing none, I think then what we might do, Connor, if it makes sense, is see if there's consensus on the reparations. I'm gonna wait until.
Didn't we just open that door instead? And close it?
Just if somebody wanted to join us, they'd have to come through that. They wouldn't know that they could come through this door.
yeah, that's true.
So, to be open to
They can
the
knock.
public. They can knock, you're right. Right.
Anish was right there and she is.
Taking
You
charge
found a
of
good
that for us.
Outside.
Thank you, Carrie, for crowd and voice control. All right, then, let's see if we can move forward then on the proposal from the committee and the task force and reparations. Any sort of thoughts or edits to the suggested draft resolution?
I'll go with it.
I would like to move that we
Yes.
vote to approve this draft to be passed to the city council.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Laney, second by Connor, to move the resolution forward. All those in favor signify by raising your hands. All those opposed, I see no opposed. Motion, abstentions, no abstentions. Counting is very easy when a group this size. And
So are ties, so
so,
hopefully not get there.
and that vote is 4-0 and the motion is passed. Thank you all.
So does this subcommittee kind of automatically dissolve, or should we motion to dissolve it, or is there anything else that you two think should be done on this subcommittee?
Be content to dissolve it. I think, I don't know that we.
Maybe after the council sees it, right?
Oh, okay.
And if there's
Because
any-
they might have feedback.
They might have feedback.
That's a good point.
Questions.
And we won't have to reconstitute.
Yes.
There you go. Okay, good idea. Okay, then, let's resume then with the items on the agenda, and now we are back to item A, as noted, the public forum on recent hate incidents in the Davis community. This, as you know, is a standing item where we have invited community members and commission members to address recent hate incidents. So I want to open the floor and recognize Lainey.
I have one quick thing, which is I had reported before, or Kate or both of us, that at Da Vinci High, somebody had written graffiti the N-word on the water fountain at our new tech hub. And we had a lot of choices to make around that, but overall, I think in hindsight, everybody feels like it was handled really well, which is great. The principal did go to any Black adults on campus to check in with them and make sure that they knew it happened immediately and ask them what they needed. which was something that hadn't happened on another school campus before, and they both reported feeling like really appreciative of that. A statement was made to the entire student body that it had happened, even though it immediately got covered up. We went back and forth and we did decide to tell the entire student body in the hopes that people would come forward with information, which they did. We were able to ascertain who the 3 students were involved in this. And after much deliberation about what exactly it would look like, we convened a restorative sort of impact conference for them to hear the impact that their actions had. It was very complicated for a number of reasons. We were back and forth about having students involved in it because when you're underage, it is confidential. When student discipline or punishment or whatever is confidential. So if students were involved in the restorative circle, they couldn't then go tell the rest of the student body who the students were who committed the crime in the first place. There was questions as to whether the police would be involved. Kara Messmore was, at the district level, was working with the police. After participating in the circle, she decided not to continue to encourage the police to press charges because the main student who did it participated very actively in the restorative practices circle, and they're doing several things in the community, including writing a statement that will now be read to the whole student body so that they understand that there were consequences for these actions, that if you do this sort of thing, you are likely to come to attention, that they do not have bad feelings about Black people, and that's not why they did it. Anyway, we talked a lot through what they would maybe say, and we had the head of the BSU, the advisor of the BSU there, to talk about the BSU discussion, about what would make people feel better about the whole thing and what it made people think about. Anyway, so it seems to me that it was a lot of time and energy for a lot of people from the district level all the way down to like students to figure out how to do a restorative practice around this, but I think it went fairly well, and it is kind of considered resolved on our campus at this point, so hopefully that's maybe precedent setting for other campuses that unfortunately have experienced other things. There were so many decisions to make about whether you tell the whole student body or whether you don't, and just how to deal with the situation. So
Yeah, it really sounds like a nice model for working through what obviously from that community was a very difficult and upsetting experience. I guess maybe just one question about it sounds like the sense for people involved is that this was really kind of a self-contained, isolated incident. The question I raised, I think, when we were alerted to this and discussing it previously was, do we have any reason to believe that there's a larger community kind of issue here? Any takeaways from outside your particular campus that might be useful for us?
no, I mean, just that it's very normal for this word to be thrown around in video game spaces where these boys spend a lot of their time, and it's like common and comfortable and easy for them to think it's a funny thing to do and not realize the impact. And it really took like a lot of people sharing the impact for them to like settle in and actually hear what the impact was. And so no, I think it's just a general youth culture in online spaces, and the specific, I've done several other restoratives this year around similar things, exposure to things online that you then say in the real world, and it's not the same. So
Yeah.
we hope that the continued ethnic studies course, as it, year after year, hope does something to counter some of this online culture, sort of blatant racism and sexism.
I mean, I think it's, I've had discussions with some teens just about how free, especially on gaming platforms, especially when you have older people matched up with teenagers and the language that's just being thrown around very haphazardly. It's a little disturbing in my viewpoint, but maybe that's just me being an old guy. And when I was a kid, I was also young and said stupid things. And it took me a time to learn, what was appropriate. But it's always like that next generation, is it okay that things escalate and become more intense and the verbiage become more hateful and more violent? And is that a trend that is something that we should ever address? And if so, how do we then?
I mean, there are more and more hate groups. Hate groups are growing. There are more and more white nationalist hate groups. They're targeting children
those
11 to
platforms.
14 very actively. So I suspect we'll see more before we see less,
Yeah, and I don't know if this is it something that at the high school level especially, I've seen some of those dialogue exchanges and I'm just like, wow, this is shock of what's being thrown around. So I don't know, do you think like students would be even receptive to if we put on like I don't know, if it's a program put on by adults for two, I doubt many would come, but it's I don't know, it seems like a space that causes for concern, or at least a space to create more dialogue around it. I don't know, what do you think?
I think people would be more receptive if they, if what you talked about, like being able to see the impact it has on people. Because I think that's much more impactful than like listening to someone at like an assembly. Because I know a lot of people just tend to skip those anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
But getting to see like, I don't know, like other students speaking up about it, or like other members of the community like giving like firsthand stories about how it affects them, I think would be pretty
the only thing
impactful.
that can make an impact, I
Yeah.
think. But then it's so hard to find a format for doing that until
Right.
after, somebody's been caught doing something, you can kind of put them through whatever you have available. But to educate the general public, I mean, I know in my ethnic studies classes we talk about these things and I can never quite tell what kind of an impact it has, but.
I think that what you do in restorative circles is very impactful, and maybe that's the best that you can do is one-on-one, and as that comes up, you are sending kids off into the world having had that experience, and I think that's useful, and even though those instances don't happen often, they think they go a long way. And having more, sort of weaving it into ethnic studies or just into all of the classes a little bit is also helpful, right? And I hear what you're saying, it seems like it's like everything is more shocking.
Right.
Right?
Of course, that's just getting older.
I think it's a little bit of us getting older.
Yeah.
I think that the national conversation has become more shocking in general.
Yes.
And it's definitely something that's grown out of that.
Yeah.
And kids just tend to like to be shocking.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's now a megaphone and a platform for them to anonymously do it.
Not Da Vinci.
Yes, exactly.
It's happening plenty, we just try to catch it.
Well, I'm really curious, and we don't have to talk about this too much longer, but, one of the things, I worked with teens for a long time, and, for many, like a good solid decade, we just talked about online bullying. And I just don't hear it as much, and maybe it's just because I'm not in those circles, but, I assume it's still very prevalent, and it happens all the time, but how do high school, like staff and administrators hear about this? Do counselors hear about this? Is it something that's just, constant, or is it like a growing trend, and has language and verbiage become more hateful, and more violent? And I'm
Next time
asking
Kate
the
is here, I bet she'd be able to tell us more about
That's true.
district-wide, where
Yeah.
all the levels of education are.
They have a really good pulse on all of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd love for her to talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm very curious.
Okay. Well, thank you for that report and the follow-up and all the good work that is happening at your school. And it's appreciated by everyone I know. Other comments, questions, issues that folks want to raise on this issue, or public comment especially on this item? Okay. Seeing none, I think we can close this item and move forward. The next item on our agenda, and we've got just a couple more, is just a follow-up so that we don't lose sight of or track of the conversation we started last meeting after the really helpful presentation by Jenny Ten, and there was, as a result of that, some initial conversation around the table about how we might, among other things, interact with the Hate Free Together collaborative, and you know, whether there's a potentially a formal relationship or an informal relationship, or, you know, given that the HRC has sort of concurrent jurisdiction, at least with respect to the city of Davis, on many of these issues, whether there's a way that we want to kind of try to formalize our ongoing dialogue with Hate Free Together. And I don't have a suggestion, I don't know if anybody else does, but I wanted to make sure we just didn't lose sight of that item. So I wanted to give us space today to talk about that. We don't have to resolve anything, but I'm really open to hearing any suggestions on that or additional reflections. Edgar, please.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of like, well, I think all of you heard what I said to Jenny, but I'll kind of reiterate just, you know, my feelings towards the presentation that was made for us. And that kind of just goes back to the fact of, you know, they are working on this on behalf of the city of Davis. This is almost literally the work that we're doing as a commission. If this is not what our commission is supposed to be doing, is to be helping the city staff and collaboration on topics like this, then what is the purpose of our commission? And I think it kind of goes to the fact of then, again, what is the role of commissions? And, you know, that was a perfect example of how we were not being utilized for our expertise, for our background on the topic, for our networking to the community. Because then when, you know, she was talking about these amazing things they're thinking about doing, we're like, well, that's great, we're doing it too, so why are we duplicating efforts? And it's just I think it's more of the dialogue needs to happen. There needs to be a better understanding of like what our role can be for the collaboration. And I think it's just more of, as a commission, I think we should just kind of reach out and really offer our services and say, this is, I think, something that we should be directly involved with. And we should have a clear part in it. And, you know, maybe Jenny hasn't had the time yet because she's got a lot on her plate. But let her know that we're here and, you know, use us. You know, I had a discussion with somebody, and it's like, you know, it's almost like if the city were gonna go cut down a bunch of trees, but they didn't talk to the tree commission first. It's like, well, you're gonna do a bunch of stuff on hate crimes. You didn't talk to the commission that literally discusses hate crimes on a monthly basis. That just doesn't make sense to me, why you wouldn't do that. And so I'm not pointing blame, but I'm just saying now that it's out there and it's known, I want to make sure that we are able to stay in touch with her and able to work with her and just, you know, give her that constant tap that, hey, we're here, we can help you, let us be involved. And almost, I wanna insist that we get to be involved. But I think there has to be a relationship built first. So that's my feeling.
So I know that she's given this presentation a number of places. She's been to city council as well, and also I've heard the presentation other places as well. And I think that the concept of Hate Free Together is to gather all the groups in town that are working. It's not to supplant the groups that are working on this, or to say, or to not recognize that there are groups that are working on these topics, but rather to say, let's, pull together all the groups that are working on this topic and have them sort of work in concert, which is, something that the Phoenix Coalition has been wanting to do also for a number of years, but don't have sort of the, you need a platform, you need a website, you need like certain things in order to do that outreach. And I also think that there hasn't been a whole lot of, it's kind of a black box still about, how is this gonna work? How is it going to do that thing, right? Because as a nonprofit that also works on this, I have similar questions and like that. And I know that they are tabling this weekend, right? For the first time, Hate Free Together, Farmers Market is heading out there.
They should be at the censorship festival.
I can reach out to Jen about it, that would be great.
Yeah, obviously, yes.
Yeah, this is their first,
Definitely.
this is their first
Yeah,
tabling.
we should invite them.
They should definitely be there.
They should be there.
But conversely, HRC should probably be where Hate Free Together is,
Right.
right?
And I think that's where my concern was, just like, we didn't know what anything was happening.
Right.
And it's not, I don't wanna say it's her job to tell us everything that she's doing, but I think, as a city commission, there should be at least a point of contact. There's always checking in with each other.
Yeah.
And that should be built too.
Yeah, because I also really like coalition building, and I really support including all of the groups that are doing this work, whether like businesses or nonprofits or the formal and informal groups around the community that are not like legally nonprofits or businesses. But I do think the HRC it's not the same as community groups, because it is a formal part of the city, and the collaboration was, like, the initial collaboration included the city as like a legal bureaucratic entity, and the HRC is an aspect of that entity that does this type of work. So yeah, I still think like having the HRC be part of the initial stages of it as part of one of the founding like official governmental entities would have been useful.
I like what you're both saying, I hear what Maria is saying too, and I guess I'm just like, I feel like just a little bit the opposite of like sitting back to wait and see where it goes, because some of the conversation we had last time, just to reiterate, was like, it's 5 different bureaucracies involved in Hate Free Together, and I feel like the agility to respond to things like we already struggle with our agility to respond to something, like right after October 7th, I feel like we got this idea of listening groups, and we started going out and trying to like listen to people, and we have like a little bit of a purview with our little scrappy group here to like do some things kind of with some immediacy. I mean, we meet once a month, but so maybe not with more immediacy than that, but still, and it does take a while to report to the city and to hear back and all that, but like, I feel like I'm concerned to get to a situation where there's too much of a relationship where it affects our agility and our ability to kind of function in ways that we think could be helpful, Because I think they're gonna have to do everything kind of real slow and steady. They're building, like they're trying to build something that lasts, something that's strong, something that involves every voice. And like you said, that coalition building, that's awesome. Definitely want to be part of it. But I'm concerned with the speed that they can do things and how many different like sets of permission they're going to need to do things. And I think it was like a year for the website to come up. I could be wrong, but I think that's right. So that's like, it just shows like and it's nobody's like full-time job, right? It's different people from different group. You know, nobody can really prioritize it, and then I know that, and then my second piece is, and again, I think we discussed this last time, so sorry to belabor it, but from what I understood, all the funding that they got was, and it's probably just the funding that was available, is for the arts. And then what I heard is like, we're gonna have listening groups, but it's gonna be through organizations that are like arts organizations. And so something about that, I just like wanted to sit back and not get too involved until I understand how like art groups that are focused around the arts are like doing maybe justice related. I mean, there's a lot of overlap between arts and justice. And it's like the same concern I had that I think Gloria voiced very well at the city council meeting about merging the commissions, that it can be seen that like social justice work is like, can be melded into multiculturalism with some arts, you know, maybe joining us with the Arts Commission or something seemed logical to some people because it's all just sort of touchy-feely, like try to do something pretty in the world or something. And so anyway, I just feel a little bit interested to see how that's all gonna happen, but not like jumping right into the middle of it ourselves necessarily, because I just can't picture what that's gonna look like yet.
Everyone's sitting back.
Yeah.
Everyone's waiting.
Lainey, and I think just to clarify something you said, because I know that there's been a little bit of misunderstanding, is that the $300,000 grant, and I think this is going along with what you said, was secured as an arts grant, and then the project of the arts grant was Hate Free Together. So it wasn't a grant for Hate Free Together, it was an arts grant, and the project of that grant is Hate Free Together in terms of working with artist groups to do these sessions and stuff, as you had rated. But I do think that there's been some sort of confusion, so I just wanted to clarify that a little bit for anybody that might have questions for it.
Okay, thank you.
So I'm hearing that there's sort of consensus around kind of shared subject matter jurisdiction, if nothing else, and a desire to try to coordinate, and maybe some lack of clarity about how this Hate Free Together entity is going to conduct itself kind of going forward. And maybe some trepidation or uncertainty. But I guess I'm wondering whether folks think it makes sense that there be like a point of contact between Hate Free Together and the commission, or whether we want to kind of, sit back and wait to see what, if anything, evolves, or what kind of outreach is done to us. Do we want to, I guess, maybe sort of, I don't know, designate a committee or something to say, these are the liaisons with the Hate Free Together folks, and we encourage Hate Free Together to contact us or invite us to your meetings if you have meetings, or I don't know, actually.
I think we should reach out and just say, at least begin the dialogue. I think that's the biggest first step, because I don't want to make any more assumptions than I already have in my head, because I think, I have jumped to some assumptions, which I think just needs clarification. And then once those clarifications are done, then we can start talking, and then we can say like, hey, this is what we've done. I can help fill these challenging gaps that you may not have expertise in. And if you want us to help, then we're here for you. And then that is at least is the beginning of building the relationship.
Currently I would think it's like we mention things here, Carrie takes it to Jenny, you get information for us, or is there a way to do that?
I think that at this before we move to, creating a liaison to Hate Free Together, we need to see if Hate Free Together, as you mentioned, is made up of a lot of different entities, not just the city, to see sort of what their process is and what kind of does UCD also have somebody from their side sort of liaisoning and the school district, et cetera, et cetera. So maybe we're at the point where there's some clarifying questions that we can put together and sort of gather that information and see what they're seeking, find out how often they meet and what their meetings are looking like at this point and what might be, then you might be able to make a recommendation, with all of that in play. I don't know if you saw yet that the website is live.
Yeah.
I haven't had a whole lot of time to sort of dig around and learn more myself, but if you haven't had a time to do that, maybe that would also be a helpful starting place. And then if you want to, just start emailing me directly questions, I can start compile those if you want. You can come up with them now and I can, continue to bring information back. We can invite representatives from Hate Free Together for another, presentation if you want. Jenny can certainly come and she might want to also bring somebody from, one of the other agencies that's partnering to share, maybe more, from the county, what they're doing, that sort of thing. So I think that might be my recommendation is to get some of these questions answered first and then figure out what you want to do for your next steps.
Yeah, this sounds to me like a conversation as opposed to like written questions that go through Carrie and then get read back to us and we say, what does that mean? And you say, I don't know, I can go back to Jenny.
Yeah, you can certainly have another presentation or not a presentation, but a question and answer period at a meeting if that would be helpful.
Right, I mean, like,
More dialogue.
Or can we just meet with Jenny? If she has time.
You certainly can as an individual.
Yeah. I think just I know I kind of came off a little strong at that meeting when she presented. I think it's just, in the situation I'm in where I'm also sitting on the campus council on community and diversity at UC Davis, there's already a connection here.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me, it's like hearing about a lot of this completely third party, I was just like, I feel like we should have been more engaged in the beginning. But again, I don't want to jump to any more assumptions than I already have. And I'd rather just have like an open discussion with her if she's open to that.
sounds like there's interest in pursuing, or at least understanding how they would like to work with us. There's a desire, it sounds like on the part of the commission, to at least exchange information. And I'm wondering, does it make sense, do folks think, ask Jenny to kind of come back and, rather than sort of listen to a presentation, maybe have a little bit of Q&A and back and forth and say, we're all on the website, and we know that there's good work happening with good intentions, and we would like to contribute to it. If there is a role for it, we would like to not step on their toes if there are toes to step on. And we would also like them not to be just sort of, unaware of what we're doing and potentially being at cross purposes or something. So, okay.
Sounds good.
I'm gonna add that to long range then, sounds like.
Well,
because I wasn't sure what today was gonna be. Like, I thought this maybe was gonna be that, because, yeah, that's definitely something that I had interest in, because I do have, like, some specific questions and comments related to the presentation and the website.
right. Is it possible to have Jenny back for April?
I can ask if she's available.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be the sort of the forum that allows people to kind of get together rather than individual people.
Yeah, I do, I think that would be helpful for everybody to have the same information.
She happens to be my neighbor, so I can go knock on her door.
Oh. Well, you can
But I
just,
don't think we should all be knocking on her door.
Whenever we see her on the agenda, we should come with a clear list of questions for her to talk about.
Yeah, that's never good. People knock on my door all the time.
Do they really?
Sometimes about school-related items, and I'm like, wrong person.
they live at this address?
Yeah, it's not my jurisdiction.
Years and years ago, when I ran the Davis Children's Nutcracker, people would put their kids' applications on my doorstep because they forgot to
The downsides of living in a small town.
There's much good, it was just. Okay, so I put that on long range and have emailed myself to check in with Jenny to see if she's available for our April meeting.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there any public comment then on this item? Feel free to get a discussion. None, and see no other comments, questions among the commission members. We can move on then to the next item, and this is one of the sadder issues I think that we will have to take up this evening. And because I know that we are all sorry to lose our chair, Robin Mohammed, who unfortunately announced a couple weeks ago that she needed to resign for family reasons, and we wish her well and we miss her already. But here we are, and I thought it was important to note this and make sure that we're having a kind of a deliberate conversation. I was happy to sort of step in tonight if it's the will of the group. I'm happy to try to, sort of be a transitional figure. I'm very also happy to have someone else step into that role if there's anyone who was willing. If not, I would suggest that at the very least, once we do have additional members, we,
Force them into it.
go through a formal process, and try to.
The newest member has to be.
Yeah, the newest member has to be chair.
Yeah, so get your applications in fast so that you're not last.
Right, after we get more new
After we
members,
get members, yes.
the newest members.
Yes.
Correct.
Oh, that's a good point, because you
Which
just
is
came
draw
together.
straws.
Well, I would like to suggest to move that Kevin Baker become the new chair of the Human Relations Commission. It did not sound like he was unwilling to do so. He's done a fantastic job of running tonight's
Yes.
meeting. Clearly, this is something that he can fall right into with skill and poise. And so, I so move.
And I second, as long as he accepts.
Well, I would just say that I think there are many people on the commission who are equally as qualified. I'm happy to kind of be a transitional sort of figure to get us through this kind of bumpy time. But Gloria, please, let's have some new members appointed.
Yes.
And go through a process. And I will just say, it's not ideal for like straight white middle-aged male to be in this role.
And I so appreciate you saying that, which shows how well qualified you are to be there.
I hear you. I agree. You have a background that diversifies that perspective, and you've
Yes.
shown your ability to see multiple perspectives and to very intentionally bring in voices that are not in the room. And
Well, and I think that's something that we need to highlight is composition of the group. You know,
And I will say that it is something that we consider when we are appointing folks to this group, and we, when we are in that position to be looking at applications. This and the Police Accountability Commission are the toughest commissions to appoint people to, because you want to be very, very thoughtful and, you can't just stick anybody into these two commissions.
agreed. I'm actually very appreciative of the folks that were at the table. When Robin and NJ were here, I was like, this is like a really dynamic group of very talented lots of different backgrounds and experiences. I am really sad that the two of them had to leave. But I feel like there are also people that come with that expertise. We're lucky to be in a town that has a lot of people with this type of background. And so I think we have to be cognizant when we're recruiting, to make sure we are reaching out to the right circles to bring in those.
And again, that's why I think commissioners from this commission and the Police Accountability Commission are the best people to do that outreach.
Yeah.
Right, I mean, the city does do the outreach, but really it's these commissioners that do the best.
Yeah.
So do we need to vote on the motion that I made? Even with an understanding that it's potentially temporary, maybe to get us to the summer or something like that.
Just for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Everything starts as temporary.
But like the temporary affordable housing ordinance.
Do we not then also need a vice chair?
Yes.
My fellow commissioners?
Well, yes, and I will nominate somebody.
I will second that nomination.
Can we take a vote on this
Not even know who that could be.
I don't know, but, okay.
I will temporarily keep the seat warm. So, have at it.
You calling for the vote?
Yeah.
All right.
Are you abstaining?
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
Our terms are up in 2025. I just looked it up.
I know.
June 2025. I don't know how I thought it was 2024, but somehow it bumped up
And
another
they
year.
also thought it was 2024. I pointed out
Because I
there.
think when we first started, we were fulfilling an existing role,
Oh,
and
it
then
added on.
and then they added the full 4 years after that.
You should screenshot that,
Mhm.
just next year.
We might just change all by itself again. I'm like, I have
Like, oh, everyone's up in 2027? How did that happen?
Because in 2027 I might retire and then y'all can leave.
There we go. Yeah.
Then I'll let you out.
You can handpick the rest.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure some of them are 2027, right? It sounds like you have it up.
Yeah, I had it open in a second. So, is it approved?
Yes.
Yes.
We have a new chair.
Moving right along. Edgar has the floor.
I would like to nominate Connor to be our vice chair.
Yeah.
I would be happy to second that with the same reservation
Yes.
about the lack of diversity that we currently have in voting members of the Human Relations Commission, and with a recognition that we care for leadership that is as diverse as possible, given the current situation. I would like to second wholeheartedly Edgar's nomination there.
Yeah, and as long as neither of you two are interested in doing it, I will accept.
Any other comments, Connor?
He's got a half an hour acceptance speech.
Yes.
I wrote this last night.
Yeah, that's what this is, but okay, page 1.
All right, we have a motion from Edgar, second from Lainey to nominate Connor for vice chair. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All those abstaining?
I'm following the precedent set by the chair and abstaining on it.
The motion nevertheless carries.
Thank you, Connor.
Appreciate everyone's willingness to step up. Okay, let's see.
That
That's
might
it?
take us to long range.
Yeah, long range calendar.
Yeah.
Okay,
Is this the part where we just acknowledge that it exists and then,
Yes, that, we're acknowledging that it's looking like what you want with the addition of the Hate-Free Together Q&A item for April. I've added that into my notes here.
And just as a reminder for me, so what could theoretically happen now is when Kevin and Connor and you are making the agenda for our next meeting, they can pull something off of long range into an agenda item.
Yeah, these are kind of follow-up items, some are timely, some less so.
Yeah.
So yes.
Just one question. The third bullet item says celebration review.
That was something that Kate asked for
Yes.
last time.
Oh, yeah.
So we do need to
Okay,
see,
got it.
policy if we get
Yeah, I was
council
also not
direction
sure what that
on
was.
Yeah. Okay, could that just be noted, like holidays?
Holidays, yeah.
Something that I just wasn't sure.
Kate Snow?
Yeah,
Oh, thank God you're talking about this already.
Mhm.
well, we're not
Well, it's
really,
on the long range calendar.
Yeah.
but maybe it can
We're
get on
talking
some
about talking
agenda
about it.
sometime soon.
What's that?
Maybe it can get onto an agenda sometime soon.
Yeah, you know, that went on the agenda when I was on interest,
What?
Yeah.
Really?
6 years ago.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
Well, if, I'm sensing that folks
Not,
want to
not
talk
this
about
long
it.
range,
and
but we've been talking about that.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
Okay.
and I wanna make sure Kate's at the meeting.
Well,
Yeah.
let's put it on the agenda for next month, so Kate will know, and we can then, or let's plan.
Yeah.
If Kate can't do it then. But I thought she made some very cogent points.
Yes.
mhm,
Things that are actually within our purview that could really
mhm.
And of
have a
course,
lasting effect on people in our community to feel better represented and help them.
and, you know, it also ties into some of the listening community work, so. Okay, it sounds like we should plan on that as an agenda item for next month, subject to Kate's availability. Okay. Is there then any public comment on this item number 7, future agenda items long range calendar?
I was gonna just say Cesar Chavez Day recap, since MLK recap is here.
Okay,
I don't think we've actually done the MLK recap technically. Oh, we did a little bit.
Did
Submitted
a
things
small
in
one
writing
and then the
to
Google Doc, yeah.
Yeah. So let's maybe add Cesar Chavez Day recap.
No, I was sort of assuming that would be
Automatic.
sort of automatically on the April agenda.
okay. All right, with then those additional notations, thank you. I see no other items on the agenda, and I'm prepared to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move to adjourn.
I second that motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Abstained, we are adjourned.
Good job.